everybody? Welcome to the Tapped In Indy Podcast. I'm Nick McDaniel, and this week, man, special guest host. We got this rotation going on. It seems to be pretty good. And this week, we rolled out the red carpet to, Mr. 25, the Big Cannoli, Rosario Grillo himself. What's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
Oh, my paisan, grazie mille for having me on. I'm excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a little while. I'm pretty excited to finally get to sit down and do it.
Yeah, it should be fun, man. Look, it's, somebody who we've kind of had a lot of, like I said, a lot of these conversations backstage, just kind of trying to get our schedules worked out. You're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to get into all of that and more. But before we do that, let's remind everybody, make sure if you're a podcast listener, we get it. If you're an Apple, Spotify, or heck, if you're even a YouTube person, we appreciate all of those supporters. Make sure you're liking pages, subscribing, turning notification bells on, all that good stuff. But if you really want to go to the home of all things Tapped Out Pod, patreon.com/tapped-out-pod. You're going to get lots of extra benefits. You can be a free member, just like on your other platforms. But for $1 level, you're going to get those show notes. I mean, in some weeks, it's like 8, 10, 14 pages. You never know, specifically on the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight. $5 or higher, you're going to get those weekly shows early. $10 levels, you're going to get anything we ever do early. Plus, you get those digital collectibles exclusive to the Patreon at that level for our Patreon members. And, of course, at the $25 level, they're going to get those really cool 8.5 by 11s that we send out monthly only to those members at that highest level on Patreon. And, I sent out a group message here. I don't know if you see the ones that went out this month. I doubled up and sent 2 out to our $25 tier levels, and it was your friend, Carly Bravo. And then a major surprise. I teased it last week. I said, listen, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to give it away. But the last outlaw himself, Jeff Jarrett, signed some that I had made for him. He signed those, and those went out on Monday. So and we're recording on Tuesday. But by the time you listen to this, you might actually have them in your mailbox. And I thought that was a coup all in itself. What do you think, man?
Oh, hey, listen, as a Patreon subscriber myself, why wouldn't you want to follow in the Big Cannoli's footsteps? I mean, just go, like you said, go to the link, subscribe. You can do it for free. You can do $1. You can do up to $25. Why wouldn't you want to get the best content before everyone else? Again, I'm a subscriber myself, so go out and do it. Hit the button, go to the Patreon, subscribe. Get your cool, and then who knows what the gift is next month. But how could you miss out on the potential of a Jeff Jarrett or a Carly Bravo specific limited number item?
I'm going to teach you this way. I got multiple things signed. So I already know one of the big surprises for next month as well. I've already have them. They're actually to my left over here on a shelf waiting to be shipped out next month. So that's enough of the teasing on that. Let's get
I was going to say, if that's not enough to subscribe, I don't know what is.
Yeah, if you thought Jeff Jarrett was a good one, then wait till next month. There's another one coming as well.
Ooh.
Look, man, part of why we had you on here, look, you got a lot of stuff going on. You're AEW, Ring of Honor. You're killing it all over the Georgia Indies as well. And we teased kind of when we rattled off the nicknames, the Big Cannoli, but Mr. 25. Let's get into that a little bit because we've had this conversation. And why Mr. 25? Why?
I mean, why not? What an honor. I mean, the 25 best wrestlers, and you had to include the Big Cannoli himself. Listen, people want to go and say, oh, I'm this number. I should be here. Listen, hey, number 25, I'm right in it. I got 24 more spots to go up to the first. And if you're going to hand me gold, why am I not going to cash in on it? You got the Mr. 25 right here. There was a mix-up at the jeweler. This was supposed to be a lot bigger, but we'll take what we can get.
Production errors aside, right? Like that's you can't get customer service anywhere anymore. It seems like
Maron, tell me about it.
It is what it is. But because we had talked a little bit about this on. I mean, listen, this thing has been going on in Georgia for a couple of weeks and then some. And I think the reason I asked you is the way you've kind of embraced it and you've made it something. Like is that a lesson to be learned that more guys just like,
Yes.
Yeah, and why?
So I can't remember who I was talking to about this, but the indies, the independents, this is our playground. This is where you get to experiment with what works, what doesn't. And if this fell flat on its face, oh well, I've just been on to the next thing. But when you get handed something like that, the best thing you can do is just try. You can try, just sit down, come up like, okay, how can I make something out of this? And if you can't, then you can't. You move on to find something else. But you gotta at least take an at bat to be able to hit the home run. And I mean, this was a fastball right down the plate, and I might as well be Mr. Teixeira, number 25 himself. I knocked that one right out of the park. If you're gonna bring something to me on a silver platter, how can I? I'm gonna take it and run with it. And that's just you said the many nicknames. Same thing with the Big Cannoli. One day I think it was my first time at Southern Honor. Carly Bravo, best friend of the program. He had just come out and was like, go support my guy, the Big Cannoli. And I was like, oh my God, that's it. Boom, I'm using that. And immediately it caught on. And if it didn't, I'd have just ignored it. And, I got Calabria's favorite son, your mother's favorite wrestler. There's a whole bunch of them under the belt. You got to give them a little bit every now and then. But, this is supposed to be fun, and we're supposed to try things. I have tried so many things that didn't work, that people didn't even notice I was trying, and then you just move on to the next thing, and eventually you're going to find something that sticks, but you don't know until you try it.
And listen, we're probably going to step on look, I'm going to jump out of order here because I wanted to have this. We had a lot of people sending in questions, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. If something triggers a question like this, I'm going to jump to it.
Please.
So it's kind of a thing that led to the conversation where we were talking about, like in the notes I have here, working the indies should be something like, hey, why should you work a bunch of places? Like, and it's so you can experiment. Like you said, you can see guys going like, hey, I'm just going to do something completely out of left field, doing things different. And again, it might fall flat on its face. I'll give you an example. The young man, Christian Taylor. He's Christian Taylor. He's this very intense, just intense, crazy individual. But then off over, on a side note or somewhere, like he's like, I got to tell you about Phil Bunyan. And he starts explaining it to me, and I'm like, that is not one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Go crush it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, but that's, I think that's a huge thing that some people. It's like, hey, why can't go work 4 hours away? If you're a fan favorite over here, go over there and go the other route. Like, just try to can you do both? How do I or just get better at working both? I mean, agreed.
Oh no, 100%. And every crowd is different. You could have a show in McDonough and do something there that doesn't work in the show in Cumming, but that does work in the show in Watkinsville, but that doesn't work at the show at Jefferson. And that goes along the lines of, when you're on AEW or on Ring of Honor, you're going to these different cities. Not everything that worked yesterday is going to work today. People are different. They want to see different things. Some crowds want to be interacted with. Some crowds want to see hard-hitting wrestling. Some crowds want to see you tell a story. You have to be able to do all those things because, again, wrestling's a story, but it's not the same story every day. If you read your kid the same book every night, eventually they're going to want a different book to read. They're going to get tired of that same book. So you got to go out and try things and be in front of different crowds because you never know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
And again, we're all over the place on the notes. By the way, I didn't pre-warn you that this happens for me a lot. And I think some of that, though, is because at times when you're doing the experimentation, and some of it's because we talk about you'll go to shows and they're like, oh, it's the hardest thing is to get on a show. And I posted about this a little phrase the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think the hard part in Georgia is actually getting booked on a show. I think it's staying on the card because you have to find, hey, where can I be of value of when it's in the notes, the value of finding a place on the card so you can stay on the card. Mm-hmm. But it's I think a lot to do with what you're talking about is like, hey, this is where they've put me. That may not fit who I am over here, but I'm going to do what you did with Mr. 20, embrace that and go, I'm going to make the most of that, boom, and dive into it.
100%. And like I said, when you get something as simple as the top 25 list, again, I'm more so grateful to have even been included on that. A lot of people know what had happened, and I was out of wrestling for 2 years with an injury, and I've only been back a year. And even in that first year, I wasn't this. I was just trying to wrestle again. I was just trying to get my feet wet, trying to like relearn how to do everything basically. So by the time I caught my stride, it was towards the end of last year. So it's really only been a few months that I've been finally finding what I'm doing. But it took a lot of trial and error at these One Fall shows, and at the TCW shows at the time, at Southern Fried when I was doing commentary or managing Cat Spencer. Like it took a lot of different things, and it was something as simple as the shoes I wore, or the type of pants I was wearing, or how I walked that day, or how I pronounced certain things. Like it took a lot of time, and this isn't even perfected now. I'm still trying new things at all these shows, but that's what these shows are for. They're learning experiences.
And again, because you've been in places here and there, like trying different things, I think you've kind of created something. But let's say you broke out of your shell, and I get it, whether it's TVZ. Let's speak specifically here to the Georgia thing. You kind of got a skyrocket attached to. I think. Would you agree? If I'm wrong, I think the Crusade moment in Southern Fried kind of was like it spiraled into so many other things all over the state, I think. And that was just my take. First and foremost, like the Crusade coming together, like what, because from afar, if you look at it, you're kind of like, okay, that's kind of a ragtag group, right? Like they're not all, like, it's not all the same group you would normally put together. But man, you guys put together a unit that was, I mean, it was on a heck of a run there for a long, long time. And I'm not saying it's over, but still, it's a heck of a run there for a long time at Southern Fried.
Yeah, and like you said in the notes, we'll get to the current state of the Crusade in a little bit. But I've always been a fan of Hunter James, and in that time where I was hurt and I was doing commentary, I got to closely watch everything that he did. Not that I didn't already watch his stuff before. And it's no secret, I think he's one of, if not the best wrestler in Georgia. So when the phone call was made to the Cannoli of, hey, I'm thinking about it's time to make a change at Southern Fried. We're tired of being in the back. It was the easiest yes I ever heard or I ever gave. Of course I'm going to partner with Hunter James. And I trusted his direction. I didn't know too much about Pat Roach, Big Bad, one of the best technicians there is in the state of Georgia. And he had the idea of putting us as a tag team. And the moment I met that Paisan, boom, we immediately connected. And hell, we won the tag titles in our first match. First match as a tag team. I have had so many tag team partners. I was in a tag team in Southern Fried for 3 years in TSF with Hunter Knott. Never came close to winning those titles. And in the first match, we won them. So that just goes to speak on the chemistry between me and Pat. But then also you got Teo. You got Joey. And then you got Dom, who I'm not going to get into Dom right now. But you had Dom. And you had the 4-time Georgia champion in bodybuilding, Miss Women's Champion, Miss Cannoli herself, Cat Spencer. I mean, what a stacked group that is. Like you said, it's a ragtag, but boy are those guys stacked. And Joey, Mr. American Hero, just look at the physique on him. Like, that guy's a stud. Teo, I think he's one of the most underrated wrestlers there is. And we've seen Dom for a long time. He's also on that list as well. But it goes to speak more so on the recruitment and knowledge of Hunter James to be able to take that ragtag group of people, the random group of people, and make them superstars. And that's exactly what he did.
He did. And you guys, like I said, you tag champions, and we're going to get into some tag team talk in a minute, but it wasn't only there. You guys got tag gold all over the state of Georgia. Mm-hmm. But again, I do want to, before we move on to tag team conversation, things have been a little bumpy as of late. You kind of had a bad run for the Crusade. Pretty much, let's be honest, Shindig. Yeah. Kind of began the, first and foremost, I still want to look back and tell people, if you haven't seen Shindig, you should watch it. If you didn't see it live and you didn't experience it in the building, you'll never capture that feeling even on watching it. It was something completely special. Southern Fried caught lightning in a bottle, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
literally.
And that was crazy. But all of the good fortune that brought, Shindig brought Southern Fried, has not gone well since then for the Crusade.
No, it has not. Yeah, it all went downhill when, what I like to believe, the Sexton Alliance cut a few cords, causing the power to slip. It was so hard to see in there. So I didn't know. I thought we were up. I thought we were getting the pin. Couldn't see. We lost. So that started the downhill. Then, the injuries from that match piled up. So a couple of us missed the next show. Then the disrespectfulness of Dominic Stuckey. Him and Hunter James, former tag partner Hunter James, were trying to get back the tag titles. And Dominic Stuckey cost us the match, and then he refused to put the title around Hunter James' waist and decided to instead clock him with the title and turn his back on his family. It's like Hunter said, he made him relevant. Dom was nothing until he joined the Crusade, and he decided that he was going to take his moment in the sunshine and attack Hunter and try and disband the Crusade. And then last week, he stuck his nose in our business again. I don't know how he got past us while we were waiting for him in the parking lot, but he ran his mouth in the ring. He assaulted us. He then assaulted Hunter James while he was commentary, and then he ran off. What a coward. He's done. The next time he shows up at Southern Fried, he's done. Like, if he's smart, that Gavone would never show his face again because we're coming for him.
Listen,
get off the rails.
Okay, hold on. I want to. We're going to be professional, but I'm going to push back a little bit. In all fairness, Dominic Stuckey.
Mm-hmm.
The list says so. Tells you he's one of those top guys in Georgia himself.
I agree.
He's been multiple promotion champion. Do you think it has anything to do with? Listen, Hunter's great. If you don't believe, just ask him. He'll tell you how great he is. I promise you.
I'll tell you how great he is twice.
Yeah, and the problem I think sometimes is I'll ask you this from a very honest question. Did Dominic Stuckey's ego, in your opinion, not mine, I'm asking you, is that what led to this? That he thinks that maybe he was more valuable than Hunter James appreciated him for, and that's kind of that's how we ended up where we are.
Ego is a good word. I think Dom got a little bit too much of a big head. I think that was the problem. Now that we started all coming up together, his head got a little bit bigger, and he thought he was better than the family. I don't think it was Hunter James at all. I would follow Hunter James through the darkest of tunnels because I know he's going to guide us to the light.
Okay,
I don't know what Dominic's
again, I apologize. I'm going to interrupt.
No. Hey, listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
No. Here's why I'm asking. I'm interrupting with a question. You're saying you guys came up together. My argument a little bit to that was Dominic Stuckey was already kind of a guy before.
Kind of.
So, no, I mean, like, he at Southern Fried, he was new. But all over, like the rest of the state, he kind of had a name for himself. So, was there a flaw in the recruitment by Hunter James that he took a guy that he thought would be, a loyal soldier who maybe had more ambition than Hunter James saw?
Listen, I number one recruit, number one scout, Hunter James. I think he's great. I don't think there was anything wrong. Looking back, maybe we don't invite him in now because of what he's done to us. But I think it was a great great pick at the time. But again, I think his little head just got a little too big. His ego got a little too big. He thought he was bigger than the Crusade, and nobody is bigger than the Crusade because the Crusade is forever.
I will say, and here's listen, Dominic Stuckey, if he's listening, I have some advice. This is from me. He needs friends, right now. And the problem is you ran with a group of a long time that caused you to make a lot of enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, for now, you guys are all saying, hey, you're all for one for all. He's kind of on an island on him, to himself right now. He needs to kind of watch his back. I agree. Look, but that's the answer to the justification of that's why we got the behaviors we did this past weekend, because he's got to hit and move. He's got to come when you guys don't expect it, because he can't. He's just outnumbered. If he comes at one of you up straight up, you guys are all going to get him in with the numbers game.
Look, the numbers game going to catch up with him at some point, because they catch up with everybody. If he keeps ducking and running and hiding, eventually he's going to walk down the wrong corridor, and he's finally going to come face to face with all of us.
And so, Dom, you heard it. You got to get some friends, man. Be careful, though, by the way, across the state of Georgia. I know he's got a few. But let's get into, speaking of friends, I want to get into a little bit of the tag team talk, because I do specifically want to dive into, that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on, is listen, again, don't always condone the behavior, but I do agree 100% that you, Pat Roach, phenomenal tag team. I won't take it away. The question becomes, though, do you fall somewhere on a list of what we would consider the Power Five, as this week the Power Five is going to focus on the tag team division here in the state of Georgia? We've kind of compiled a list together. And I'll let you get your input as well. I kind of want to go through some of those. I'll give you the option. Do you want to read the list, or do you want me to read the list and you throw your input on them?
Your show. You do your thing. You can do the list. I'll definitely throw my input.
I'm sure you will. So I'm going to lead off with number 5, Happy Madness. Look, there's many incarnations at this point. For the longest time, it was Sal Renaro and Sunny Days. Marv is now into the mix, and they're all over the state. Mad Street, Happy Madness, call it what you will, whichever location it's in. I still think, without question, the experience that's in that group, for one. I mean, one guy's got like a lifetime's worth of experience in him, but not to mention the other 2 guys are really solid themselves. So I got Happy Madness at number 5.
You're not going to get an argument from me at number 5 for them. I've unfortunately had the displeasure of running through Happy Madness. I've had the displeasure of taking many cannonballs from One Sunny Days. They've been doing it before I got here. They're going to be doing it after I leave this podunk state and go back to New Jersey. They're great. You can't say much about them. Like you said, one guy, Sal may have more experience than years I've been on this earth. He's one of the best there is, not even in the state, just that there is. So the history behind them through, multiple promotions, you've seen them at Southern Honor, you see them at Southern Fried. I feel all tag team divisions kind of have to go through them at some point. That's one of the litmus tests. If you haven't wrestled Happy Madness and you're a tag team, you ain't done nothing yet.
I made a joke with some promotions. Do you have a tag division if they haven't come through your promotion at this point? That's the question.
Seriously.
Look, we're probably going to have some debate here at number 4. That is, I have yourself, Grillo, and Pat Roach at number 4.
4?
Listen, hold on. There's a logical behind it.
The Hardy Boys must be on this list somewhere if we're number 4.
Where's the gold?
We got screwed.
If you still had all your gold, literally, there was a point a couple months ago that I 100% agree you'd be tops of this list. But right now, I do have you at number 4.
This is your show, so I'm gonna be respectful.
Plead your case. No, plead your case.
No, listen. No, I get it. We've had a slew of bad luck. I wasn't able to be there to defend the GCW tag titles, and unfortunately, we lost them. We were screwed by Todd Sexton out of the Southern Fried tag titles. We were screwed by Jacob Ashworth out of the Southern Fried tag titles again. That was supposed to be our rematch in a tag title match, but Seth DeLay just decided, well, I'm not going to show up today. And it was a 2-on-1 where Jake... getting off the rails. You're right. If we had the tag titles, I understand it'd be a little bit better. 4, kind of crazy. It's Cat Spencer's favorite number, so I'll let it go because of that. But 4's a little low. Whatever.
Number 3, couple of young tag teams. Believe it or not, we tied at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my case. Number 1, like as far as on the list there, Northside Heroes and Christian Taylor and Trent Edwards. Those are kind of my 2 that we had on this list. And I think we agreed to agree. We both had 1, and that's kind of why we did the tie at 3.
Mm-hmm.
Northside, I'll make the Northside case. Champions all over the state. By the way, I always tell everybody, it's a team that when you see them coming, you are going to underestimate them.
Mm-hmm.
Like without
Every
question,
time.
you're going to see them, and you're going to go. And I'm like, give it a second. And with a couple minutes into the match, you're going to look at me and go, I was wrong, and I will go, yes, you were. Very, very hot team, very strong following everywhere they go. Multiple promotion champions. I had an offside at 3. You had Christian Taylor and Trent Edwards.
Yep. GPW Tag Team Champions. I've been a fan of Christian Taylor for a long time. I think he's very underrated. We'll get to him a little bit later too as well, but I think he's someone who does try things. Every show he's always trying something different, whether it's his entrance gear or the gloves he started wearing or just different mannerisms that he's had. Since I've known him, he has grown exponentially and he's learned so much. And I mean, I'm not going to go into transpersonal stuff, but how far he lives from GPW and how far he comes to defend those tag titles, he's also gotten leaps and bounds better. GPW is a hot show. They got their show coming this Saturday, so go and check them out. But I think they haven't done much outside of GPW, if I'm correct, as a tag team. But what they're doing there is fantastic. So if you get a chance, go and see them. They're young, they're up and coming, they're very talented, and the sky's the limit for them. So please go and check them out.
100%. And look at for the record, when they won those in the tournament they were in, the first to admit, they were like 4th, like of the ones that were in the brackets, they were like, nope, this is like I had completely picked another team and like this, it's going to be this team or this team. And when they won, it was cool to have a moment where I'm like completely caught off guard. I was like, never saw it coming.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos
Especially
to them for,
in a tournament like that on the independents, it's very easy to plug and play who you think's going to win. So for them to be able to, be the upset and go all the way and win, it was a great story in itself.
Yeah, no, I agree. Number 2, this one I think is hard to argue against. Murder One, Joe Black, the Hierarchy, the DCVC, whatever they're called, wherever you are. They are without question, like again, multiple promotions, tag team champions. If number 1 wasn't here, my argument is this is probably the measuring stick for tag teams right now in the state of Georgia. And just the experience, the style, the intensity, it's a totally different game. When I see a team, on a poster or something against them, sometimes I'll message and be like, put your working boots on and proactively take some ibuprofen or something before you go.
Have 17 ice packs ready. You're going to work.
Yeah. So Murder and Joe, have you guys faced those guys? And
I haven't faced them as a team. I got to wrestle. I had the honor of wrestling Joe a few weeks ago. And I say a few weeks ago because my chest is still purple from chops from Joe Black. I don't know. I don't understand what fans are thinking because it's happened, I think, a couple times trying to fight Joe Black. I don't want to fight Joe Black. I don't understand why a fan would. Like you said, the measuring stick, I think whether it's tag team or singles, those two are a measuring stick as well as the next team we're going to get to. But if you haven't ran through Joe Black or you haven't had the pleasure of getting in the ring with Murder, you haven't done much in Georgia. Like you have to wrestle those guys. It's almost a passage to get chopped by Joe Black.
Yeah.
So if you can find your way into a show and work in those guys, like Nick said, make sure you have your working boots and a couple ibuprofen.
I'm going to make an observation of something here at the end because I wanted to bring up Joe being on the. Let's go to number 1, and I'm going to come back to an observation that's I think is really unique in my opinion, for the state of Georgia. Number one,
Mm-hmm.
there's a running, it's not a joke, there's a running saying on our show, if Carly Bravo counts as a Georgia wrestler, he's the best wrestler in the state of Georgia. If the infantry count as a tag team, they're the best tag team in the state of Georgia, right?
Without a doubt.
For the obvious reasons, we throw that disclaimer out there because a lot of people are like, well, people that are signed talents, they don't qualify. And I'm like, well, what if they wrestle more than, guys that you think do? So it's a very complicated back and forth. But again, hey, this is our list, and what I think of list. So obviously at number one, I have Sean Dean and Carly Bravo, the infantry, as the number one tag team.
I mean, that's the undisputed number one. I don't think anyone's going to fight you on that. Two of my best friends, those guys are my brothers, and I've had the pleasure of working them not too often. I've only gotten to wrestle the infantry twice, once on Ring of Honor, and once it was the Southern Honor pre-show a long time ago. They're the measuring stick. To me personally, Carly's my measuring stick. I've been trying to chase him ever since we were in camp together, as everyone in Georgia should be chasing him. Yeah, they're number one. It's not even close. I mean, the amount of gold. At one time, they had, what was it, like 8 belts or something?
Between them between tag team titles and singles titles, it's just ridiculous the amount of gold they hold at one time.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a fluke why they have that. They've gotten, in the last 2 years, they're not even the same tag team. Like, they are nowhere near the same wrestlers, the same team, the same faction with Shane Taylor. Like, those guys are head and shoulders above the rest here in Georgia. Like, there's a reason they have so many damn tag titles, and there's a reason why Carly's number one in the Georgia Power Rankings. Like, those are the guys.
There's another gentleman that points out he's co-number one.
Tied number one. With
but
Bryce.
just yeah.
Alphabetically.
Yeah. So there you go. I'm going to do the honorable mentions, but here's the observation that I wanted to ask you about that I think's unique. If we go back through the list, Happy Madness, Sauronaro, Grillo, Pat Roach, Grillo. The exception is the Northside Heroes, Kristen Taylor, Trent Edwards, but then Murder Joe Black, Infantry. You see where I'm going with this? Carly Bravo. All tag teams that we think are some of the best tag teams, in our opinion, in the state of Georgia. 4 of those 5 teams have someone on the top 25 list. Listen, I'm focused highly on the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like it's a little unusual that would be the case, that the tag teams are focused very heavily on. There's at least, by the way, it's not anything against their partners. I mean, it's just the list would be filled at that point, with those guys. But it's just the irony that, and it's literally, I'm going to take you out of the equation so you don't have to toot your own horn or anything for a second.
No, I mean, you don't love me. I love to toot my own horn.
But Sauronaro, Joe Black, and Carly Bravo, like 3 of those 5 tag teams that we're talking about, are absolutely probably, like you talk about measuring sticks and, who's the best wrestlers in the state of Georgia. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
I will sidebar this. One, like I've had this conversation with Sauronaro, so we're not going to drag that, but I do want to ask you, because you've now been in the ring with Joe Black. Why is he still here in Georgia? Like, I don't understand why is he not on TV
everywhere? Yeah, he should be everywhere because he's just that damn good. I don't know if it's people don't want to bring him in because they're gonna realize how bad their guys are because Joe Black is just that damn good. But I think we're starting to see him branch out a little more throughout Georgia. I would say. We saw him without giving anything away. Saw him a few weeks ago at somewhere we didn't think we would see him. I think it's more so that I think just he's so damn good that some places don't want to bring him in because they're gonna realize, hey, maybe we don't have the best guys.
But I'm even asking the question of TV. Like, why is it like? I mean, MLW, NWA, and I'm not trying to drag. I know, but somewhere, anywhere. Like, you're telling me that guy doesn't belong on your TV somewhere? Like, to me is insane.
He's got one of the best looks there is. He's one of the hardest hitting son of a guns that you'll ever run into. Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I don't understand it. If people
It,
wanted to make money, they should be doing it.
well, with no disrespect, because I know you may have to go back and pay the price for what I'm about to say, but he's Taz, but he looks like Joe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Taz was thick, and I was a huge Taz fan back in the
He's the
ECW days.
best. Yeah.
But can you imagine it if Taz was built like Joe back in the day, and they gave him all of that? It's the sheer ferocity. Anyway, I just can't wrap my head around why he's not on with a towel around his head walking out on TV, type of scenario. That's what I've always said. Real quick before we move on to the Q&A section, I do want to honorable mentions a couple teams. The Good Hand, big, they were action champions. They've been, coastal. They've been all these promote down in the South and on the coast. Also the Left Hand Path. They just arrived at Kraken Pro Wrestling, but they are again all over the place. RIPWs, et cetera, all over the place. First, I want to thank everybody again. You guys have just overwhelmed us with, I am amazed that we have been putting it out, the Q&As, to send your questions to tappedoutpod@gmail.com and sending these questions in. And so I'm looking at the clock. We're on pace, so you can pace yourself a lot. Don't feel rushed in answering any of these. Go ahead.
I do have something to say about just going through the Power Five.
Okay,
Talking about all the tag teams we talked about. There's an open challenge to any of those tag teams we just discussed. Pat Roach and I will come in and we will show you why we should be higher on this list, but also show you why we belong on this list. So, to Happy Madness, to Northside Heroes, Christian Taylor, Trent Edwards, Murder and Joe, I know I'm kind of digging my own grave on that one, and the Infantry. Whenever, wherever you hit that flip phone, we'll be there.
McDonough's a good place for Infantry versus Pat Roach and Grillo, don't you think?
I think so too.
Yeah, that's I'm just thinking logistically. I was trying to put it together was the easiest. So now let's jump in again. The Q&A again. Thanks for everybody. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com for sending in the questions. I'm gonna just rattle off the questions, man, and just feel free to go as long as you want to. Troy from Savannah said, "Who are some of the people on the Georgia indie scene that you think deserve a little more spotlight right now?"
So the first two, I'm going to say, not only for their in-ring abilities, but also their behind the scenes and how much they bring to One Fall. And that's going to be Trevor Blackwell and JD Inc. You can see them at every single One Fall show. They are mainstays there. They are two of the top guys that they have. Phenomenal wrestlers, but what you don't see is how much work they put in behind the scenes before and after the show to bring One Fall to these fans. Trevor he leads the ring crew. And that big, beautiful screen we see every week at One Fall shows, that we get the entrance videos on, we have the sponsors on, we have the big, beautiful logo. JD sets that up. That's his baby. So at every show, what sets everything apart, like the setup that we have, the ring, the amazing ring that we have, how it's always safe, it's always perfectly built, that's because of Trevor Blackwell and JD Inc. So next time you go to those shows, thank them for all their hard work because they deserve it. But also, they're phenomenal wrestlers and they deserve more credit on the independent scene as well.
Trevor Blackwell, he'll be this weekend defending that GPW championship up there in Jasper that you talked about. And JD Inc. is challenging for their television title against Sid Ellington at GPW. So if you're out and about this weekend, go check them out. It's the same show. And they're both, one's trying to retain gold, one's chasing gold. So it's a great opportunity for you. Exactly. So absolutely.
Two people, and I'm going to say two people, but it's also as a whole. Peter Sigmund, he does photos at Southern Honor, and then Tammy, who helps do photos at Southern Fried. I don't think this is a PSA to wrestlers as well. Having photographers at your show is unbelievable because we live in an age where social media is so big and you constantly have to be posting. But sometimes you go to these shows and not only did they not record, there's no evidence you're even on it. So if you have guys willing to take promo pics in the back for you and then willing to take any type of picture you need while you're out there is so huge. And the two of them have been, I noticed Tammy was actually She was around the ring this weekend at Southern Fried taking pictures ringside. That's something we haven't done before there, and the shots were great. Uh, that's so helpful to people like me, to all the guys on Independence, to have these photos. Just to, whether it's showing the gimmick or the moves, it's just something to have, and it's great. And people underestimate how helpful that is. So to them and to everybody who takes pictures at shows for the wrestlers and does it just to do it, thank you so much for all of us.
Peter, look, a lot of people may not know this. I always, with all jokingly seriousness, as I like to say, Peter's the official photographer of the podcast. Like, I mean, I have told him time and time again, hey, you need credentials, you're our guy. Like, go. Like, we absolutely love Peter. He is awesome.
Yeah, it's to have photos to post, and they get great shots. It's not just photos of you hunched over or like just of your leg. It's just phenomenal photos that some of which are I'm like I'm gonna blow this up and paint it as a mural and put it over my fireplace because I look that damn good.
There's an artwork to know. It's not about just taking a good picture. It's like knowing when to take the good picture, and I think that's something they both have.
100%. This one is also a combo. It's mainly because I was just at the show this weekend. But the Southern Fried Ring Crew and then just shows that have ring crews in general, that's huge to go to a show and you don't really have – you can kind of just focus on your match. You don't have to worry about setting up everything. They work unbelievably hard to have that ring up early and it down as soon as the show's over. We can't have a show without them. I mean, obviously, we can always put the ring together, but to have a hardworking crew who's dedicated to the safety of the ring and putting it together and making sure it's the best and safe for all the wrestlers, it does so much for us. So to all the people who do that, thank you. Thank you from everyone on the show. If they're not thanking you, I'm thanking you for them.
Yeah, most don't. Just so you're aware, like most promotions that you've been to them all. It's usually like whoever we can get to help, and that's usually gets. Look, I'm not knocking them. You got to do what you got to do, but sometimes
of course,
it's a little scary. Like who put the ring up? Like we just grabbed 5 random guys that put the ring up. It's one of the things. Like I said, Southern Fried's got a dedicated. Boom, they do it. Kind of like obviously with one fall, it's a steady crew of the guys and gals, but it ain't their first day putting a ring together. I promise you when they're going into that. So.
And then that's why having Trevor Blackfelt help and lead that because he knows what he's doing. The last one I want to talk about is someone who got some shine this weekend, but I want to give it to him as well. One of the up-and-coming referees in the game, and that's Clark. He is so dedicated and so passionate. I had no idea he was in high school and coming to all these shows and sacrificing. High school was one of the best times in my life. Me and my friends talk about it all the time. If we could go back the old Mount Olive High School in New Jersey and just hang out with the boys, that was the best time ever. And for him to put his boots into the ground, dig, and just come to all these shows, make a name for himself. Like, he's been on One Fall a lot lately. I've seen him at Coastal. I've seen him so many places. He's so hungry and so willing to learn. Like, he does, I think last weekend he did like 7 shows or something. Again, and he's a high school. He has to worry about he has another job. He has tests. He has school. Like, he has so many things to worry about. But he gets better and better and better every single show he comes to. And he's just so willing to learn, whether it's talking to other referees, whether it's talking to other wrestlers or some of the vets. He is always willing to learn. And it shows throughout every show he does.
I think after the last month, he may come off of your Unsung Heroes list because I think everybody knows for the longest time, and maybe this is a list that I'll do in the future for the Power 5, is the referees. For the longest time, there was a clear number one. And look, I would still argue that's probably the case, maybe. But here's the thing. There's never been a year where I was like, there's somebody that's really kind of, nipping at grandpa's heels and somebody that, how can I say this? I'm walking a fine line. I don't want to, this is about Clark. This is about Clark, and I want to make sure it stays about Clark. There are a lot of people that recognized what that young man, and like you said, being the dedication and the hard work to pass up just the random, like, hey, I can hang out with my buddies on Saturday night. But he clearly has a dream. He
Yeah.
clearly has a vision of what he wants to do, and he's doing everything it takes to, get there. And sometimes it's all about being at the right place at the right time. And it's easier to be at the right place at the right time if you're everywhere.
Yeah, and look at this weekend alone. He reffed the match with Jay Lethal twice, Billy Gunn, QT, Satnam Singh, and Jeff Jarrett, all in one weekend. Like that's pretty. Some people do that in a career. He did that on a Saturday.
It's crazy.
So
I
yeah, like you said,
agree.
he will be coming off that list soon. But for now, he's on it.
Heck of a list, I agree. Next question, Holly from Macon. What's been your favorite Georgia promotion to wrestle for so far, and why?
Oh, that's a tough one. Everyone's different. I think, Southern Fried is important to me because I've done so much and I've grown so much, and they allowed me to have an avenue when I was hurt, when I didn't know if I was ever going to wrestle again. They let me work backstage. They let me help in the production. They let me do commentary. I had never done commentary. It was something I always wanted to do. And thankfully they were cool enough, and Adam was cool enough to let me do it with him. And, after a couple of shows, we found our groove, and that's some of the most fun I've ever had in wrestling was doing commentary. So it's hard to pick promotions because, Southern Honor, the crowd there and the setup they have is unreal. It's a cut above the rest. And same with One Fall. It's not very often you get to work with your buddies or people you trained with, and they do so many different shows that it allows you to grow. And I think that's an underrated thing about One Fall is like, yeah, we do run a lot of shows. We do, it's 2 shows every weekend, sometimes 3, and that may seem like a lot, but there's a reason why everyone keeps getting better on those shows, and it's because we have the fortune, thanks to QT and Scott, to be able to go out there so many times a weekend and get better and learn our craft and produce our characters. So, I know they said 1, but to me, working for those 3, they all have their benefits.
Hey, listen, production level, I could sit here and plead the case for you. Southern Honor, because they were giving you great video footage of every single show. Mm-hmm. Southern Fried, I've always made a comment. If you want something a story you can sink your teeth into and have a lot of fun with it, hey, that's Southern Fried and Todd Sexton. That's kind of, it's what he does. And then, of course, at One Fall, my argument is always, it's one day you might be wrestling Billy Gunn. The next day you might be teaming with QT Marshall. And then some days you're the teacher, like in that situation. So
yeah.
I think there's a lot to be said to being the teacher sometimes in the ring, because you're going to learn from being the teacher as much as you are being the student. So I agree. David from Athens, what's the most memorable Georgia crowd reaction that you've gotten as a tag team specifically? That kind of.
Wow, as a tag team. So probably when Pat and I won the tag titles at Southern Fried, the crowd was insane. And that was a great match. If you have a chance, go back and watch it. It's on my YouTube. It's on Southern Fried's YouTube as well. I would say that, and I had a fun one this past Friday, actually, at One Fall in McDonough. Me and former classmate of mine, Hayden Backlund, tagged against the Wonder Boys, Aaron and Ethan Dallas. I have never heard them so rude and so loud in McDonough. And they were that way for the entire show. They were a great crowd. But the hatred they had... One guy tried to get in the ring and fight Hayden and I was like, "Oh, we about to do this here? We're about to show them how Jersey boys and New York boy get down." But I would probably say it's between Pat and I winning the tag title and just even this past Friday.
Mike B, no city on this one. Who's your favorite person to wrestle on the Georgia indie scene, and who is someone that you're hoping to get to wrestle either in AEW or Ring of Honor?
I've done it so much, so I love wrestling them. I'd probably say it's JD Inc. and Trevor Blackwell. I've gotten to wrestle them. I've posted it the other day. I feel like my comeback has just been married to JD Inc. We've wrestled each other so many times, so I have a lot of fun working with those two. And then hoping to wrestle. I love to get it on Ring of Honor with Carly. Just a one-on-one Class 1 showdown on Ring of Honor would be cool.
Um, that would be a different one. That would be interesting. Marcus from Augusta, which Georgia Indy tag teams do you think are the toughest competition for you and Pat Roach right now? I don't want to cut you off here, but I think we kind of went through that when we went through the power. I mean, look, we get it. Murder Joe, Infantry. That's kind of Happy Mad. I mean, the top 5 speaks for itself.
And I'm gonna say it because apparently we can't best them. Fro and Seth Delay. Apparently, whatever combination of them two, they have our number right
now. Maybe that there's a rematch coming. Maybe a true tag rematch.
They're better.
Jake from Chicago, what's the biggest difference you've noticed between working, let's just call it television, and the indie shows in Georgia?
The biggest difference. I mean, honestly, I try and wrestle the same no matter where I am because if you're not really, we're trying to get to television, so I'm not going to wrestle a certain way on the independents and wrestle a different way on TV. I'm trying to get to TV, so I'm trying to, as much as I'm trying to perfect my craft on the independents to wrestle the same as I would on TV. Obviously crowds are different. Sometimes you do have to change things a little bit, but I was trained almost in TV wrestling, thankfully, through the Nightmare Factory. That's, we were put in a lot of big time positions that maybe, being so young, we shouldn't have been, but that's the type of situation it was sink or swim. And, thankfully we were able to swim. So we've kind of I've been prepared for that since I've stepped in here, thankfully.
Daniel from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What advice did you get in AEW Ring of Honor that's really stuck with you, and kind of what is it?
So honestly, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from John Cena. He came to the Nightmare Factory when I was hurt, and I was able to talk to him for a little bit. And one of the biggest things he said to me was just, "Hey, wrestling's always going to be here. You may have a timeline in your head of when you want to be able to get back or how long you don't want to be hurt for, but that's not how life is. But at the end of the day, when you're ready, wrestling will be there." And that helped me because when I was hurt, I was in a bad place. You're out for 2 years. That's a long time. And partially, I didn't even know if I could walk again, let alone wrestle again. So that was something that stuck with me a lot. And, if I ever get the chance to see him again, I'd like to thank him. He did do Peacemaker with my cousin Frank coming out this week. Hopefully I can, little family reunion, I can run into him. But that was probably one of the best pieces of advice I
got. Corey from Los Angeles, if you could pick one AEW or Ring of Honor star to team with, who would it be with and why?
I saw this question. I was excited to answer this question. It's going to come out of left field. But I've thought about this for a long time, and I know it would be money. It'd be so much schedule. You got me, the Big Cannoli, Mr. 25, and what I would like to call the Big Capiche, the Big Calzone, Big Bill. That's 1-1. That's the team. My Paisan, we would win every title under the sun.
If you're listening, Tony, let's make it happen. I won't lie. We've had this conversation, so I knew the answer before, and I was like 1,000% I'm in.
Capiche, big capiche.
Mike from Dallas. Who are some of the guys in Georgia you'd love to work a program with?
Oh, yes. I saw this one. I was very excited to do too. One of the answers, it's mainly just because I want to be able to go toe-to-toe with him and just two of the best going at it. I love him. Hunter James. It's no bad blood. I just want to be able to one-on-one just go out there with my Crusade leader and just have some fun. Carly / the Infantry, like I said, I haven't really gotten to have a lot of fun with them, but just to be able to go in there and tear it up would be great. Bryce Cannon. We've only got to do a triple threat. I want to do that one-on-one, prove that I belong in the top 25. Sal Renaro, we talked about just how much knowledge he has and the experience that he has. I was actually supposed to wrestle him in January of 2023, but I broke my freaking leg, so I couldn't do it. And I'm, to this day, still very disappointed that I didn't get to do that match. So, Sal, anytime maybe you want to put that title on the line? Southern Pride, maybe. I don't know. And then last one, Chad Skywalker. I feel like him and I would just have a lot of fun out there, and we'd have a great match.
Is Chad Skywalker, because most people don't know this, I've kind of followed him for a while. He's definitely a guy who I just think flies way too under the radar for a lot of people.
So under the, like, not even getting picked up on the radar, and for no reason at all. I think he's super talented. He's got a great look. He's great in the ring. I don't see why he wouldn't be on everyone's radar. But hey, let's put both of us on the radar. Him and I, whoever wants to book it.
Well, I think part of it for the longest time, and Chad hopefully won't be upset about what I'm about to say, for the longest time, he was a moves guy. And over the last year, I'd say, he's really started to click in this, in the personality and the character. And I know that's something you're big on, is about having something more than, you got to have a character. You got to have a personality, something that engages the audience and the fans. And because that's clicking with him, do you think that's kind of maybe why over the last year, he's kind of come on strong?
Yeah, no, I mean, that would make sense. Like I said, his character in the ring is great. I like it. I'm a fan of it. He's worked a couple of the One Fall shows recently, so I've got to see him more. Like you said, it doesn't make sense why he's not on a lot more people's radars.
And one of the biggest angles of the last year was a VHS tape that was magically floating around Coastal Empire that he was in the center of that whole thing. And I think, again, that was kind of where I think he kind of came out of his shell with this new. I always joke with him. I'm like, are you a secret agent, or you're or you're an espionage agent, whatever? But no, I think, again, Chad Skywalker, anytime I can get a chance to throw his name out there and put it out there, I think more people should check him out for sure. Logan from Gainesville, which Georgia indie promotion do you think does the best job of building their tag division?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I'd say it's a tie almost between Southern Fried and Southern Honor. And it's just because I work those shows more, so I'm more familiar with their tag division than I am of other places. So it's no offense to any other promotion. I just think those two are two of the best.
Logan, you didn't ask for Nick's opinion. You asked for,
I'm
Big
asking
Cannoli
for Nick's
himself. I'm a child of the 80s era of wrestling and, the early 90s as well, but obviously the 80s era where, the British Bulldogs, the Hart Foundation, the Road Warriors, the Rock and Rollers, the Midnight Tag Team was such a huge thing. And somewhere along the way, and I'm not going to drag you into a national conversation as much as I did, but somewhere along the way, somebody who remained nameless essentially felt like he was trying to put a fork into tag team wrestling. I get it. It's expensive. Why pay two wrestlers, on it to be on one side when you could just have one-on-ones and blah, blah, blah. But I think there was just such a wise man once told me that you have to think of a tag team match as a gimmick match. Mm-hmm. Like it's just giving you another tool, like to work it, right?
Yeah.
Somebody smart said that one time, right? Like and it's, I just felt like we got to get back there because when done right, my argument, you can headline any show in Georgia with the infantry, with the DCVC, the Hierarchy, Murder and Joe, Happy Madness, Pat Roach and Grillo. You can literally, I always tell people, done correctly, in my opinion, because there's so many variables and tools you get to use along the way in the story because we've seen these guys wrestle 4 times before we get to the big match, at the show. You've got different pieces we can shuffle around and, you know what I mean? Like you can this guy wrestles this guy wrestles, and all these things you can do. And I just feel like along the way, if done correctly, and I'm going to repeat this 5 times before I'm done, I think tag team division can be easily main event. Viral does a really good job. Wrestle America does a really good job, I think, as well. Kraken is literally building a season. They're literally taking 1 year to crown their first ever tag team champions. It's a point system going through the whole year. Like again, built correctly, it can focus and center on that. And I think there are some that Southern Fried does a phenomenal job. Because they have factions, which shockingly, when you have factions, you just innately have multiple tag teams sitting in a faction that you can piece together along the way, so it keeps it fresh. Even though it's the same people are involved, like you could mix and match those pieces. Listen, the Crusade, very much the same way. I mean, you could shift pieces like, hey, Pat's going to be gone for a little while. Joey and Grillo as a team for a little while, vice versa, all over the place. So when it comes to the promotions that do it well, it seems it's very cyclical in Georgia, in my opinion. I'm giving a very long-winded answer because I'm super passionate about tag team wrestling. And I just think that's kind of what I think it's lost a lot in the state is I think more people should just, I get it's expensive, but sometimes I've also told teams, you two are going to struggle individually. Maybe this is your path. Look at it being a team together. And look, I get it. You both may have to take a little bit of a haircut on the pay, but you can go as a team and get on the show, show them what you can do, take that haircut to get long-term multiple bookings, and it'll work out for you in the long run. That's just my hot take on that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, you said it best. When done right, tag team wrestling is the best. And I think we do need to get back to it more. I like that you said the Kraken's doing the year-long to crown their titles because it just gets people familiar with the tag teams. But I've been in a tag team since I started wrestling. For the first, I wrestled until, December of 2022. So, over 2 years, I in a tag team with Hunter Knott and TSF. And then when I came back, I didn't know what I was going to do. And Hunter hit me up with the Crusade. And I've been able, there's been a sweet balance of singles and tag, but there's just something about tag team wrestling that you don't get from singles wrestling. And when you realize, I think it's also too, a lot of people think wrestling is me. It's a single sport. It's not. It's a team sport. Wrestling is 1,000% a team sport. And when you have the right team, it just makes it that much better.
I 100% agree with you on that. Tag teams all the way. I literally will randomly be watching Midnight Express versus the Road Warriors on YouTube on on an average Tuesday. Like that's what I turn on because I just think, again, done correctly, it's the best.
We're very fortunate to have Glacier. He helped us out when Ray Lloyd, when he was a coach at our school during camp, he would always send us just classic tag matches, like 80s tag matches, and that's how we built our knowledge. Too, because there's also a saying, everything that's old is new again, and that is wrestling to a T. And if you can take the stuff that worked back then for those guys in the 80s and late 80s, early 90s, but then make it your own, it'll be great.
The basics are still the basics. That's what
They always will be.
Yeah. Well, again, we appreciate you guys sending in those questions. And next week, I'm not ready to drop who the guest host is going to be next week. But when they do, follow us on social media to make sure you see who it is and you get those questions in. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. But, of course, the other thing I want you to remember, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Look, we went over all the benefits earlier in the show, so check them all out. $1, $5, $10, $25 levels. We went over those collectibles that you can get on a monthly basis. I promise you another huge one coming out this month as well. But look, we get it. Some people, you're YouTube watchers. I understand that. Make sure, just like the little video there on the screen, subscribe. Click that little notification bell. That way you don't miss a single thing. We are up to 3 shows per week now dropping on the YouTube channel. So obviously, it's coming fast and furious, and it's all in a matter of about, a 48-hour period. They all drop, whether it's somebody like Mr. 25 himself sitting in with us on the Tapped In show, the Georgia Wrestling Spotlight, where we go back and look at the weekend that was and look ahead to the weekend that will be. And then, of course, the Tapped Out show, where we cover all the national stuff with Myron and myself. Look, we just appreciate you guys being along for the ride. And, man, I appreciate you, Mr. The Big Cannoli, Mr. 25, Rosario Grillo. Man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
No, I appreciate you having me on. This was fun. I'm glad we got to finally do it. Like I said earlier, we've been talking about it for a while, and when you hit me up, I jumped right on it. I was ready to do it.
Well, man, look, the hopes are, it might be the first, but it won't be the last. But look, Tapped In, it's a great way to support the indies, but as we always tell you, the best way to support the indies, listen to this Spotlight show if you're here in Georgia. If you don't, over on the Patreon, there's a list of all the shows across the country that Phil Stamper puts together. Check that out. Find a show that's close to you. Get in your car, drive down there, buy a ticket, and you never know, just randomly, you might see that guy in the ring, or if you look across in the seat all the way across from you, maybe, just maybe, we will see you at the matches.